Here they are, my final Oscar predictions before the nominations are announced next week. These nominations take into consideration my own personal picks, but also the results from PGA, BAFTA, and SAG nominations, and the winners from the Critics' Choice and Golden Globes. It's an exciting time in awards season. I think picking nominations is much more fun than picking winners, as there's more room for variety and chaos. So without further ado, let's get into my predictions. For Best Picture, I've gone with American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Past Lives, and The Zone of Interest. So I've gone exactly with the PGA nominations for Best Picture, but even without the PGA, these films seem like the most reasonable and make the most sense when you consider the reception of these films and the following nominations. It means we're leaving May, December, and The Color Purple off the list, but I'm not mad at it. In Best Director, I've remained with last month's picks of Christopher Nolan, Martin Scorsese, Yorgos Lanthimos, and Greta Gerwig and Celine Song. The first three of those directors feel locked in. I'm going to ignore the fact that BAFTA left Martin Scorsese out of director. Greta Gerwig felt locked in at one time, but now is a bit more uncertain. A lot of people are filling the last two spots with Alexander Payne, Jonathan Glazer, or Justin Trier, but I'm going to stick with Greta for now. I'm also choosing Celine Song over the other directors for the fifth spot as a bit of a wild card, and leaving Bradley Cooper off the list as I think the momentum has really fizzled out for him. Best Actor also remains with Cillian Murphy, Paul Giamatti, Bradley Cooper, Colman Domingo, and Jeffrey Wright. Cillian Murphy is the clear favourite here, but after the Critics' Choice Awards, Paul Giamatti is now the closest threat. Apologies to Bradley Cooper. It'll really be up to SAG to see who will be the frontrunner in the weeks leading up to the awards. Best Actress again remains the same with Emma Stone, Lily Gladstone, Carey Mulligan, Margot Robbie, and Sandra Huller. I'm choosing to ignore Lily Gladstone's omission at the BAFTAs. There's plenty of actresses not nominated in BAFTA who have then gone on to win the Oscar, so I'm not sweating this one just yet. Also, I refuse to predict anyone from Nyad. That movie feels like an industry plant the way that it's come out of nowhere. For Best Supporting Actor, I have Robert Downey Jr., Ryan Gosling, Robert De Niro, Willem Dafoe, and Charles Melton. Having now taken out the Golden Globe and the Critics' Choice Award, Robert Downey Jr. looks very well poised to take out this award. I was tossing up between adding both Willem Dafoe and Mark Ruffalo from Poor Things, but I'm still holding on to hope that Charles Melton will get a nomination for May-December, despite missing SAG and BAFTA. He was easily the strongest part of that film. In Best Supporting Actress, I've predicted Divine Joy Randolph, Julianne Moore, Emily Blunt, Danielle Brooks, and Penelope Cruz. Few changes here compared to last month. I've taken out America Ferrera and mistakenly had Fantasia Barrino in here instead of in lead, so I've thrown back in Emily Blunt and added Penelope Cruz as a bit of a wild card. It doesn't really matter though, as Divine Joy Randolph is taking this one. In Best Original Screenplay, I have The Holdovers, Past Lives, May December, Anatomy of a Fall, and Maestro. And for Best Adapted Screenplay, I have Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest, and American Fiction. For Best International Feature, I have The Zone of Interest, Perfect Days, Fallen Leaves, 20 Days in Maripol, and Society of the Snow. The Zone of Interest will win this one, and I think similar to All Quiet on the Western Front from last year, it'll appear more than anticipated in the technical categories. And for Best Animated Feature, I've predicted The Boy and the Heron, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Elemental, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, and the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Moving more into the technical awards now, for Best Cinematography, I have Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. I think at one stage I had Barbie in here, but I don't think it's strong enough to be nominated, honestly. It makes more sense in production design, where I've predicted it as well as Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Asteroid City. I was tossing up between Priscilla and Asteroid City, but Asteroid City makes more sense. I just want to see Priscilla nominated for anything and everything. In Best Editing, I've chosen Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Poor Things, Maestro, and The Holdovers. And for Best Sound, I've gone with Maestro, Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, The Zone of Interest, and Napoleon, keeping in mind that both the sound and editing categories like films that span a large period of time and films about war and conflict. For Best Score, I've predicted Oppenheimer, which will win, Killers of the Flower Moon, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Still think Past Lives should have made the long list here, but there's nothing we can do about it now. In Best Song, I've predicted 3 songs from Barbie, What Was I Made For, I'm Just Ken, and Dance the Night. I've also nominated Keep It Movin' from The Color Purple and Road to Freedom from Rustin. What Was I Made For will win, but I'm excited to see I'm Just Ken get nominated, because that means Ryan Gosling will have to perform it at the Oscars. Best Visual Effects has been a confusing category. With the omission of Oppenheimer from the long list, I've gone with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Creator, Poor Things, and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I've switched out Mission Impossible with Indiana Jones, and I'm not confident that this is the right decision, but the movie was very visual effects heavy with the action sequences and the de-aging, and with a few whispers around a potential nomination, I think it might sneak in there for the final spot. For Best Costuming, I have Barbie, Priscilla, Wonka, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Poor Things. I feel like I'm leading a one-woman campaign for Priscilla here, but we'll see what happens. And for the final category, Best Makeup and Hairstyling, I've predicted Poor Things, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Napoleon, and Killers of the Flower Moon. Likely Maestro or Oppenheimer will win. The Academy does love a good transformation. I still have no real thoughts on documentary feature and short, and live action and animated short, but I'd like the Michael J. Fox documentary to get nominated. So there are my final nomination predictions for the 2024 Oscars. Let me know your thoughts about my choices or what your own choices are in the comments below. And as always, thank you for listening in.